What's up, everybody? Ben Renzi here for Stokastic PGA Strategy Show, US Open Edition. You know, it's a major, serious business. We got a lot of players. We've got Oakmont. We've got the rough. We've got players saying that an 18 handicap would shoot 150. Maybe that's true. What do I know? What we do know is that we've got an incredibly difficult course, ton of money to be made in the DFS streets, and a field worth breaking down. That's what we're going to do. We're going to use the tools. We're going to use our hopefully knowledge of these players, and we're going to build some lineups right here, go through the players, strategies, all that good stuff. Sit back. Let's get to it. If you've just joined us on this channel for the first time, welcome to Stokastic. All things DFS, picks, tools, breakdowns. We just simply show you how to be a better DFS player. Hopefully, results in some big wins, which we'll be highlighting throughout. We've had some great runouts for the Stokastic family lately, and we're going to keep it rolling. Also, I'm going to tell you about how to get involved in just a little bit, but let's start with the course. You guys know the drill here. We got Oakmont. I just mentioned it. It's a beast. Obviously, it becomes mysterious. The mystique, the legend, it grows with each passing day, as does the rough, apparently. Deep rough, crazy bunkers, crazy sloped greens, lightning fast. You got to be long. You got to be accurate. You got to be a good scrambler. You got to be a good putter. You got to be a good ball striker. Well, that sounds pretty difficult. Winning score, maybe even, I don't know. What do I know? Dustin Johnson 10 years ago, give or take 9 years ago, -4, 4 under. It's the US Open, so let's get that right out of the way for some people. This is not the Masters. We're not at Augusta year after year. This is a rotation. So don't look at recent history and think that that matters. I think there's some, maneuverability about US Opens in general, the style, the game, the temperament. But Oakmont is going to be relatively new for all players. Now, what do you actually need? I'm going to say if I could only have one, I'd rather have a guy that hits it further than accurate. Obviously, I want both, but I do think driving distance will be important. Scrambling, certainly bogey avoidance, getting up and down around the green is going to matter. You're going to have a ton of putts 11 feet for par. You're going to have a ton of shots, very awkward distances because you're going to be not able to get it. If you hit it in the rough, you're not going to be able to get to the green. So you're going to have like 60 yards a lot of times for birdie, stuff like that. Can you get up and down from those? So short wedges, things of that nature. Obviously, I want my guys to putt, but it's very high variance, things like that. Some of these holes, it's a course that's interesting distance-wise. There's like a 300-yard par 3. There's some extremely long holes. The rest of it's very manageable. It's still a par 70. It's about 7,300 yards, give or take. So nothing crazy there. I don't think it's a week where there's some gimmick. You got to play well. You got to know what you're doing. You need the skills. Let's get to the players. That's what we're here for. Let's start with who should we start with? How about Scotty Scheffler? Oh, yeah. So they just keep going. And I'd say this is crazy, but they 14,400. Never thought I'd see the day, but Scotty Scheffler has won 3 of his last 4 tournaments. It's a situation. So we can talk about all the nuances. I'm not going to get into Scheffler's game. He's the best player in the world and all that. But I was talking with a friend about this. Scheffler's price is somewhat irrelevant, honestly, because if he wins, whether he's 12-8 or 13-3 or 14-4 or 15-1, you need him. That's a fact. If he doesn't play well, there's not going to be many scenarios where you're like, man, if he was only 12-8, this would have worked. Like, if he has a bad showing, you're probably in trouble regardless. Now, of course, yes, it puts more strain on the rest of your 5 golfers. But other than that, it's kind of irrelevant for this price point because if he hits his ceiling, which is just winning once again, there is no price where it's like, oh, he was too expensive. You're going to need him. Now, if he comes in and it's very early on a Wednesday, these numbers can and will update. If he's that popular, there's no possible way that I get over the field. I'm going to have him in the pool because I think you need to. But what an interesting situation is developing here because Rory McIlroy, after the Masters, probably, if you would have told me who's going to be the most popular golfer at all, at each major, Rory would have been on the short list. And he was terrible at the PGA and he was even worse in Canada. That was maybe his worst ever performance on tour. What does it mean? I don't really know. What I do know is that he's going to be under-owned because of this. If you think he bounces back quickly, is a great buy spot. recent form is not good. So it's either something or nothing. It's very hard to tell. He was so bad in Canada. I mean, he lost strokes in all 4 categories. Rory's going to be squeezed. There's no doubt about it because Bryson is right below him. Bryson's going to be extremely popular as well. We know what he can do. Obviously, we've seen him and Rory duke it out just last year at the US Open. Bryson was the winner. Bryson's got a kind of a formula, which is I don't want to paraphrase. He's a lot smarter than me. But basically, if we're all going to be in the rough, I want to be closer to the hole. And he has done that very effectively a pair of times in US Opens. I'm indifferent to the play. I still think that there's a lot of ways Bryson gets himself into a lot of trouble. But he's shown the ability to handle these conditions. He thinks about the game in the right way, which translates to US Opens. I guess what I'm saying is most of my interest is going to be on balance plays. I'm fine with any of them relative to their ownership. Rory, it won't be hard for me to get over the field if he's 5%. I could have 10%, 12%. Scheffler, on the other hand, I might have 30% and I'm shorting him. Bryson, I anticipate I'll be around the field if he comes in 25, 30% owned of that nature. But the guy I want to talk about in terms of there's 5 north of 10, Jon Rahm is my guy this week. He's going to be extremely important. He was my first bet. I got him at 12-1, which is out there. We'll talk about some betting throughout this. I think he sets up fantastic. 8th at the PGA, 7th, 14th at the Masters. He was right there at the PGA, right there with Scheffler, neck and neck, and he just melted those last handful of holes. We know that we don't get to see him week in and week out. He's over on Live, but I still absolutely like what his game kind of not represents, but he's got the right formula. He can really hit it. We know his tee to green game is good. He's an underrated short game. He's got great around the green at times. He certainly can roll it. There's not many players that I trust. This is, somewhat of an opinion, but standing over a 6-8 footer for par, I really trust Rahm in those situations. I like him a lot. Second man in, we'll try some of those. I'm going to build some lineups with you guys, showcase the tools. So stay tuned. A little difficult. First man in, very balanced, very easy. You can do a lot with that. Xander's next to him. Not going to spend a lot of time there. I don't have a strong take. Let's go to the 9s. Morikawa, if you want to do it a little differently, we know that he's shown not the ability to close, that's for sure. I can't give him credit there. But he's done a lot of other good stuff. He's almost automatic off the tee and with the ball striking. So he is someone that I do understand. He doesn't have a U.S. Open, but he's got a pair of majors. Maybe the game's not in that form. I would rather have a slightly lower owned A-Bear. Here's someone with mega talent. Obviously, he's got no experience at most of these, or limited experience at most of these places. It doesn't seem to really matter, though. I mean, he's someone that came right in and competed in majors right off the bat. He was 12th at the U.S. Open last year. He's contended in the Masters. He seems to be a little healthier, ready to go. He was 13th in Canada, 16th at the Memorial. Bombs it off the tee. I worry a little about the short game, but he's just such a talent. I'm fine with A-Bear. If you make enough teams, you're going to have some teams that start with him, and that's reasonable. I'd rather have him as an aggressive second, personally. Patrick Cantlay. Every time I talk about him, I get him wrong. I struggle with him. There's no doubt about it. I really liked him at the PGA Championship, and he missed the cut. He's played still decently well. He makes a lot more cuts than it would seem. It feels like I'm hitting missed cuts with him all the time, and I'm not. 9,300, 10% owned. Not going to let him define my week. Simple as that. In the pool, not that important. JT's more of a wild card. I think he's got higher missed cut equity. I also think he has higher win equity. He's been a little mixed bag, kind of all over the place. Also missed the cut at the PGA Championship. He's been putting great, 7 straight events with positive strokes gained putting, but he's got to get the rest of the game in shape. Fleetwood's going to be cash viable. There's no doubt about it. People are going to go to him. He's reliable. I will also be going to him. I know the win equity hasn't been there, and that's putting it mildly. But a guy is just very consistent. Hasn't missed a cut all year. 16th at Memorial, 4th at Charles Schwab, made the cut at the PGA, made the cut at the Masters, 14th at the Players, gains with the iron, 7 straight events. Everything is pretty sound. He can handle U.S. Open venues, doesn't mind difficult conditions. Price is a little rich, but it's hard not to like Tommy Fleetwood. Again, in a DFS setting, I'm fine with that. Neiman's right below him. Neiman could be popular. I don't think he's going to be that popular again. This ownership can and will update, so just keep an eye on that. Hovland. What do we do about Hovland? 85. So I think this is where even in an Oakmont where we think we know the course, at the same time, do we really know? I think this is where you have to start making decisions about what you think the course is going to do. Not for your whole portfolio, but for individual lineups. Because if you tell me that Oakmont is a torture chamber and every single player will have tremendous strain around the greens, I don't know how you get to a lot of Hovland. He has been horrendous around the green, basically indefinitely. Even when he improves, it's still not great. And when it's bad, it's some of the worst for an elite player. If you tell me that it's just a part of the puzzle, a piece of the puzzle, Hovland's still a world class at times ball striker. I mean, the irons are elite. Off the tee game is strong, not as strong as it was, but overall, this is a top notch player, and he fits those type of builds. So for me, Hovland is another guy that's in the pool, but it has to be the right conditions, and I think we get that more often than not for him to be able to survive. Brooks obviously not going to be popular, but I have no interest. Decky, he hasn't been nearly at the top of his game, but crazy difficult courses, long irons, things like that. The good Decky would thrive there. Now, he lost nearly 6 strokes on the approach at Memorial. I don't really know what to make of that. Unlike Hovland, Hideki is one of the most underrated around the green players. So again, I think it has to fit the profile. Really good around the green, though. He's always been really good, but I think he gets masked because sometimes his ball striking, it kind of leans and carries him in these tournaments. Shane Lowry and Straka. Then we'll break and I'll talk about some of the things we got going on. These two guys are going to be also cash viable. These two guys are going to be super correlated to Scheffler lineups. I think that's pretty clear when you build Scheffler, cut out the next two ranges, pepper the sevens, pepper what's ever left. You have a lineup, a duped lineup, but a lineup. It's hard to knock either of them. Shane Lowry is a noted hardcore specialist. The guy's always shown the ability to handle this type of stuff. He's playing pretty well. His irons are maybe the hottest on tour right now. And if they're not, honestly, Seb Straka's might be because he has just been absolutely crisp with ball striking. Memorial, the Truist, everything. He missed the cut at the PGA, but that was about it. These guys have been absolutely cooking. I'll be honest, if they're north of 20, 25%, I'm not going to get that much of them. I like the range, but I like Hatton a lot, 76. So he'll be a pivot for me. I think there's some other names in the lower sevens that we can get to. But look at the screen right now. Again, I don't want to say this is the end-all, be-all, but there is going to be a lot of ownership in this mid-7 range. Connors is going to be popular. Keegan and Henley make a lot of sense. Spieth, I think, will be the lowest owned of the bunch. But these are guys that all have some potential to suck up a lot of ownership. And it makes sense because if you want Scheffler, this is the range you kind of have to attack. Leverage scores here. I could bring these over for you guys. Again, this will update with the ownership and whatnot. A lot of negative leverage because of the popularity of some of these players, Connors in particular. But I just want to kind of tie it in. I've been talking through, and we're in the mid-range right now. If you want this data, this is all part of the data hub right here. It's all part of what we do here at Stokastic. I'm going to show you, the single lineup simulator, which is one of my favorite tools where we'll actually build out some lineups. Obviously, we have our sims where you can build hundreds of lineups, the ROI, the EV, all that good stuff. And it's all part of the plans. We have plans for everybody, monthly and weekly, and it shows you, okay, if you're playing very casual, this might be the best plan for you. Core and max, that's some serious stuff. The best values are up there, there's no doubt. But speaking of values, it's the major. Come on now. You knew that we were going to do some good stuff for you guys. 50% off PGA DFS Core or Max package with the code ROM. The link is in the description of this video. Take 2 seconds and click the link and at least check out what we've got at those packages. Again, I brought them up on the screen, but you're talking 50% off and you're getting a ton of resources, a ton of tools, the ability to not just use the single lineup simulator, but the post-contest simulator, obviously the projections and the data, all this good stuff, stat projections clearly, and you get to use the sims. It is worth a shot for a major, even if you come in for the week, just to see what it's about. Maybe you've used it for other sports. Maybe you haven't used it at all and you've just seen all the screenshots floating out there. I use it every single week. Changed my process for the better. Doesn't mean we're just going to be straight to the top of the milli. That would be nice. And we did see one of those a couple weeks ago. But man, it is absolutely worth it. Again, the code is ROM at checkout. The link is below. Core or match, 50% off. Now, Tony. All right. Look at that. Tony Finau. I just alluded to pivots in this range. Tony Finau would be one of them for me. I admit, I think the guys right above him probably check slightly more boxes. But if you're talking 1/5, 1/6 the ownership, that's a pivot I'm willing to make. I actually like Finau's game. He's made 4 straight cuts. Ball striking's not the problem. Putting comes and goes. Around the greens, sneaky steady. Hasn't been great in the best events. Miscut at the Players, miscut at the Masters. Top 20 at the PGA. So somewhat of a mixed bag. I'm okay with that, though. Now, Ben Griffin. No, not at that ownership for me. Don't really see it. Cam Smith, if he wins, I'm retiring. I'm becoming an accountant or something. Can't do that. Sam Burns. He didn't kill me last week because he came in second, but he also kind of killed me because I needed him to win. And he should have won. Now, this is a tricky situation. He was awesome in Canada. He gained everywhere and he gained a lot. He is riding the single hottest putter on tour. It's the age-old question. Well, that's great because we need that this week. But can you keep that up? Can you rely on a guy gaining 4 or 5 strokes putting every single week? I tend to be worried about that here because it's such a unique complex. The greens are so atypical. But man, he seems to be able to do it everywhere. It's a long-winded way of saying I'm okay with Burns. I don't love it at 15% when everyone else around him is 1 or 2%. I would make those pivots. Finau would be a pivot for me. Fitzy would be a pivot for me. It's been a down year for Fitzy, but I still think that at his best, this is the type of golf that I want him to play in at least. He needs to just get the driver and the irons kind of more in shape. His short game I still trust. He just had too many leaky iron weeks, but he did explode at the PGA. He came in 8th. 6 strokes gained on the approach that week. That's what I'm talking about. Siwoo, I think if I'm looking for, we're about to hit the salary savers. Siwoo at 6,900. That checks a lot of boxes. For me, Patrick Reed, just a grinder. No doubt about it. I'm sure people will take some shots with Rose and the guy shows up at the biggest events. I would rather play Patrick Reed. Interesting name here, Ryan Fox, maybe the hottest player on tour overall. He's just ripping off win after win. Clearly, if the pricing, so this is just a general tip. It doesn't mean you have to play them, but for people that aren't aware, so typically the week before a major, they want to get the pricing out. So they put it out before the tournament is complete. So the guys that played well the previous week all look underpriced because they kind of are. If they put out the pricing today, Ryan Fox, Cam Young, Sam Burns would all probably be a few $100s higher. So naturally, it leads to some ownership there. Becomes a game theory question, blah, blah, blah. I prefer the next tier, not tier, but the next couple guys, Harris English and Bobby Mack. I know they might be some of the more popular 6K builds, but I'm fine with that. JJ Spawn, he's been extremely good in terms of total driving. Fine with him. If you want the putting man, Denny McCarthy is right there. Okay, last couple guys here, and then we'll build the lineup and we'll get out of here. Again, if you have any questions on anything, hit me up on Twitter at JazzRazBets. I kind of serve this as a broad stroke. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm doing. Then I use these tools. I formulate my lineups. We get at the updated latest projections, latest ownership, and I spin the wheel and give it a shot. Pendrith, great driver of the ball. I get it. Benny On played really well last week. Reliable around the green. Putting is always an issue. Good driver of the ball. Cameron Young, going to be definitely more popular in my opinion than this because of last week. Scary, but he does check a lot of boxes. He can handle this course off the tee. He's been putting great. I like him as well. I don't know how many more guys that I'm going to need down here. There are plays. There's no doubt. Rasmus is down here at 61. He's a name. I'm taking a shot. You have to have some dark horses in the pool, and this is one of mine. He can do it. He absolutely can do it. He's shown the abilities off the tee. He's shown the abilities with the putter in a specific way that he spike putts. And what I mean, he's not a consistently good putter, but when he gains a lot. And that is something that I'm very interested in. Ryan Gerard, maybe as a flyer. I've seen his name floated out there. Thunder Bear. I'm not really anticipating going into the fives much, if at all. I will straight let the tools do the work here. I'll be honest. I don't, the leverage scores are going to be good because these guys are all like 0% owned. And there's a whole nother page, which I'm going to spend about 10 seconds on, as you can see. I don't think there's a lot of merit to going to these guys. No matter what you're doing with them, you're going to be over the field. Even if you're playing like 100 lineups, you have these guys in like one lineup. There's no ownership down here, and there shouldn't be. These guys legitimately have no chance. I would not mess around with them. So to me, the drop dead cutoff is about flat 6. There's a couple guys in the upper 5s that are legitimate players. But let's build a lineup. Before we get out of here, I will showcase our single lineup simulator, one of the tools. Again, promo code is ROM, 50% off a week or a month of core or max. Find the package that is best for you. And you can see this is such an easy tool. Oh yeah, I didn't mention Griot. He's 57. The tools just, what am I doing? Apologies to Griot and everyone watching. My favorite player, not my favorite play, but my favorite player on tour. And I do like him this week. If you're in a jam, I like Pendrith. I mentioned that. I like Bobby Mack. So yeah, there are more guys than I said at the bottom. That's my fault. All right, now, so we got some salary savers here. I'm gonna go with Fleetwood. I mentioned that I like him. Where are we at? 11-5. I mean, this could definitely be a Scheffler lineup if we want. I want to see what happens if we go to Rahm though. And then you can always go show affordable players, so you don't have to think about logical fallacies. It could be a Bryson lineup, and we've got some extra salary, so I can bump. Let's see, where do I want to go? Do I want to go? Yeah, I'll kick out Fleetwood. Go get A-Bear. This is kind of interesting. Don't know how this will grade out. Might not be well, but so yeah, you've got this. By the way, you select your parameters. So like, all right, I'm going to play in a large contest. Blah blah blah. Press run simulation, and it's going to spit out a grade for us. And if it's positive, we know we're on the right track. If it's negative, it's not the end all be all, but it gives us an indication of, okay, this is what we have to work with. Maybe we do a 2v2. Maybe we use this lineup in a different type of contest. Things of that nature. It's very, very simple, but to me, the best part about it is you're getting a picture of what's going on. So you see, negative 15%. It's not really where we want to be. So we can always go right back to the drawing board and we can change some stuff up. We can say, okay, I like these punts. Let's put Scheffler in there. Let's see what happens if I go with him and Neiman. And we'll go show affordable players. Where do we want to go here? We could leave some money on the table if we want, or we could get up to like Straka. This will be a more chalky lineup. So like if you're going to use those Scheffler lineups, I do recommend maybe leaving some money on the table like I just did, $400. That'll get it more unique because the Straka Scheffler correlation is going to be quite strong. And that's putting it mildly. Let's see where this grades out. I'm actually very interested to see, is this better, worse, more of the same? And again, this is just, I can't stress, this is more if you're a single entry 3 max, not bad, minus 3.5%. The real sims and the contest generator and all that stuff, obviously you start generating your lineups there and you're going to have a lot. I'm not going to go through this whole process, but powerful stuff nonetheless. So it's going to be a hell of a week. I couldn't be more excited for what we've got in store. And again, I know I just said this, but if you have questions for me, 1v1, hop in Discord. You get that with any package, but you could also tweet me. I'm always happy to answer anything about how I go about using these tools, how to get in. Again, 50% off. Any core or max package code is ROM. Link is below. Or just anything golf related. I love talking golf. It's a major week. It really doesn't get better than this, friends. So on that note, my last request, 2 requests. 1, hit the like button on the way out. Please share the show, all that good stuff. It keeps it in front of the paywall. And if you enjoy it, subscribe. And like I said, like, comment, something nice preferably. Second request, I want to see someone win $1 million. We saw it, I believe, at the PGA. We had $1 million Stokastic winner. Still have that screenshot somewhere. And it was just, I think it's right here. Yeah, right there. Look at that. $1 million. Literally $1 million. I want to see someone else run that back. with the Stokastic avatar this week. Preferably me, but if it's not me, I hope it's one of you. And when it is, tweet me so I can celebrate with you. It doesn't get better than that. Big hits on the biggest golf weekend of the year. If I don't talk to you, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Let's make some money with the US Open. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. Good luck. Enjoy the tournament, and I'll see you next week.